Hi everybody! Today we are going to talk about the Week in Weird Readathon. I do usually a couple readathons a year just because I can't do all of them, there are way too many, and so I'll do a couple, and this one was announced, and Jason's Weird Reads and Fiber Artsy are the ones that are putting it on and hosting it, and I will link both their channels down below as well as their videos for the event if you would like to join us. It takes place during March 12th through the 19th, and we're gonna read weird books, and I love all things weird. Books, movies, being weird, making weird noises, just weird stuff. So this readathon definitely spoke to me. And with readathons, there are typically prompts, so I'll tell you the prompts that are for this. So the first one is Old Weird, and that is to read a weird story or book written between the 1910s to the 1970s. The second prompt is New Weird, read a story or book written from the 1980s to the present. And then third is Out of This World, read a weird story with sci-fi elements. 4 is The Dark, read a weird fiction story with supernatural or horror elements. And then 5 is Flora and Fauna, read a weird story featuring nature. Your definition of weird is left up to interpretation. Whatever you think is weird that will kind of fit these prompts. You could probably find a book of short stories that you could combine all of these prompts into one, or maybe just a couple books that hit like the different marks. So I'm going to show you what I'm reading for this. I own weird books because I am weird and like weird things already. One of them is actually a reread that I haven't read in quite some time, and so the first book I'm going to read for the Week of Weird is The King in Yellow. That is by Robert Chambers. I read this years ago. I'm doing this for the old prompt, even though it's a little bit older than 1910, but it's old. This book is old, so it counts. We're going to count it. This is a book of short stories, and it was first published in 1895, so a bit older than 1910. The book is named after a play with the same title, which recurs as a motif throughout some of the short stories. The first half of the book features highly esteemed weird stories. It even says on there, weird. And the book has been described by critics as a classic in the field of supernatural. Oh, I didn't know there was a film inspired by this. So there's 10 stories, it says, and then the first 4 mention The King in Yellow, which is a forbidden play which induces despair and madness in those who read it. And it's short, so I thought this would be a good one that I can try to read in a week. Most of these books are pretty short. I have another short story book, it's a horror one, that I will probably read last. But if I don't get through it all, as long as I hit all the marks for the prompts, I think we'll be fine. And that's The Hideous Book of Hidden Horrors. There is a Josh Malerman story in this book, which I think is originally why I got it. Let's see. There's some really good authors as well. There's Andy Davidson, Cynthia Palaio, Alan Baxter, Gabino Iglesias, Haley Piper, and so many more. The synopsis isn't really, it's like just a taste to whet your appetite. It doesn't really tell you what it's about, but it lets you know it's spooky and scary. It's lurking beneath the surface. It's waiting around every corner. It's hiding under your bed. It's buried in your backyard. It's stashed in the cellar. It's whispered, implied, unspoken. It's the thing that we tried to forget that simply won't die. And there's a bunch of illustrations too. Each story has like a cool illustration. So it'll start out and then it'll have like that. I've been meaning to read this I bought this a while ago and just haven't read it. So this is a great reason for me to read this book. I had taken this book camping with me and then I just never got around to it. I'm so bad like with vacations. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna read on vacation, and then if I go on a nature vacation, I actually like nature, so I'm out and we're hiking and we're going in the water and doing all kinds of stuff. So like I really don't get a lot of time to read. Like if I sit on the beach and I'm not swimming, but I'm kind of a water baby and I like to swim, I don't really like to lay out in the sun, and I'm very pale and kind of a vampire and would probably burn. I use like SPF 45. Waterproof, yeah, so I don't get a lot of reading done on vacation, even though I always try. I always take a book with me, it just doesn't happen. Excited to read this, finally. So that could hit like the horror element, supernatural, out of this world, like probably most of that stuff could be in there. I don't know if there's a story with nature elements, but likeliness of being that many stories that there probably is. And if there's not, we have the Sasquatch Seekers Field Manual, and this is a book about, Bigfoot. He lives out in nature, and that has nature elements, and that's weird. And so I thought that would be a good weird read. I'm really into cryptids. Mothman is my favorite, but you know, Bigfoot, Sasquatch holds a special place in my heart as well. So I'm going to tell you the synopsis of this. Does the Sasquatch really exist? Learn the skills that could help you solve one of our greatest mysteries. I mean, that sounds pretty important. And you got to work on your Sasquatch call too. It's like the whole whoo. I don't want to scream in the house right now. Well, let's try it. Whoo. I need help. Anyway. All right, so this is written by David George Gordon. It says there's illustrations in here. There's some maps, some pictures of foots, some pictures of large feet. I think they're more like illustrations of like casts of the Bigfoot foot. It's not a ton. Okay, so there's like a little, you got your Bigfoot, your typical Bigfoot pose there going on. So let me read you the synopsis of this. We'll have some story time with Sin. Let's get weird, my friends. So in this comprehensive guide, longtime naturalist David George Gordon documents what is known of Sasquatch, also called Bigfoot, from the creature's physical features and behaviors to its wilderness habitat. Gordon provides invaluable details concerning the Sasquatch's role in Native American lore through to more recent times, including recorded sightings as well. And this says you will learn how to apply some critical thinking as well as rigorous scientific methodology to your own research. Gordon teaches you how to make footprint casts, gather hair, and scat samples. Poop. Also keep an authoritative field journey for sharing your findings and use other research aids. The selection of hikes through Bigfoot country in Northern California and Pacific Northwest get you out in the field where you might have an opportunity to test new skills. I'm excited to check out the Sasquatch Seekers Field Manual. Should be a lot of weird stuff in here. And then this other one I randomly stumbled onto. I was at the library and they have a shelf where they sell stuff, and it's a small one, but there's always stuff on there, and I always look at it and I usually don't see anything I want. But I did the other day. I found this, the X-Files Archives. I didn't even know that they had books for this. I got this for 50 cents. 50 cents! Mulder and Scully! Yes! X-Files is like the epitome of weird, is it not? So I'm sure whatever is in here, definitely weird. These are all my weird books. I'm hoping that I'm not being too advantageous by trying to read 4. I can probably read The King in Yellow and the Sasquatch guide in like a day. This one's a little thicker. This has 2 stories in it. It says it's 2 standalone novels. Whirlwind by Charles Grant and Runes by Kevin J. Anderson. The Whirlwind story, it finds agents Mulder and Scully in Albuquerque investigating mutilated bodies on the trail of a serial killer. But these varied victims only have one thing in common: death by the most unnatural of natural disasters. And then Runes leads the team to Central America in search of a group of lost archaeologists. But there's more at play than warring drug lords, covert US military forces, and Mayan secrets. Mulder and Scully will have to unearth an ancient mystery with prophetic consequences for the future. And that definitely sounds weird. I love the X-Files. Rewatched it last year, I think. Maybe it was the year before. Oh my god, has it already been like more than that? But rewatched the series and it was just as good as it was when it came out. I absolutely love the X-Files, so I was really excited to find this book. 50 cents! You can't beat that. So yeah, week of Weird Readathon. I hope you guys will also join in. Let me know if you're going to. Like I said, I will link Fiber Artsy and Jason's Weird Reads, their channels down below. So let's get weird and read weird books because weird books are awesome. If you are a fan of spooky and weird books, the next video coming up will be another video about spooky and weird books. So stick around, check it out. And if you had fun hanging out today, hit that subscribe button. Come back, see me again, and we'll talk about more bookish things and weird stuff.